All right, ladies and gentlemen, it says I am live, but I do not believe it. It says it's still waiting for me. So please let me know in the chat if you guys are getting anything. I am not seeing why it looks like, all right, it looks like my error message has went away. So if you guys can please let me know in the chat that we are good to go, I will get started with everything. Perfect. All right. That is so weird. It said I had like the same stream key as another stream, and which I never created this other stream. So I deleted the other stream. I couldn't figure out why it was there, so I deleted it. It wouldn't let me delete it, and then I had to update so then I just changed that stream key. I don't know. I'm totally confused. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a little flustered here, and I do apologize for being tardy for this week 32 open Q&A. But my name is Brian McLogan, and thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday evening where I am here to answer your questions and help you guys with your math. And I don't know. I was very, very tired today. I've been working on a lot of videos for my course and getting prepped on YouTube. And so it was, I was very, very tired before I got online tonight. But it's so cool. Like I turn live and I get going and I'm like, now I'm pumped and excited again. And there's this one part of me that's kind of sad. Tonight is the last Sunday night that I get to enjoy not having to wake up early and go to school, because I'm going into school this upcoming Wednesday. And that's when my school gets back in. So a lot of things are going in on my end. Just a reminder for those of you pre-calculus students, if this is the first time you're hearing about this, this will be close to the last, except for next Sunday. I'll remind you one more time. But my pre-calculus course is ending. I am closing enrollment because my brain is going crazy doing all the work and prep, letting you guys know about that. So I do apologize if you're not taking pre-calculus. You've been hearing quite a bit about my course, but that is just because I know there's some students that haven't been in. They're just now getting back into the YouTube and like looking up their courses and stuff. But my pre-calculus course is going to close for enrollment on next Sunday at 10 p.m. So if that is something you are still interested in learning a little bit more about, go ahead and go to brianmclogan.com/PC Masterclass. I'm holding 2 more masterclasses to kind of go over all the content that I'm giving away inside of my course. That includes video lectures and all the material and everything like that. So it's really perfect for anybody that that just wants a little bump up to make sure they're getting their best grade, as well as maybe teachers or parents or anybody that maybe is taking the course or just needs some kind of additional help and wants to learn what you're going to learn in pre-calculus. So again, you're going to want to sign up on Wednesday, and I'll let you know that again, everything is closing down by next Sunday at 10 p.m. So sorry, you'll have to sign up on Wednesday. But either way, I was working on some videos for that course. And then also I was making some videos for YouTube. So I'm very excited to kind of continue making some more videos, a little bit different style. Obviously I'm going to be back inside the classroom this upcoming year. But I've obviously been able to upgrade on some of my equipment. Thank you for the YouTube members that have been joining on my channel, and we do an extra. As far as on a YouTube membership, we do an extra an extra live Q&A for all YouTube members. So therefore, it's not as crazy as sometimes it gets. But I do see all of you, Johnny, Savir, Adam. Thank you very much, and Lily and Blank. I see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And so the members do get some different perks, and I haven't really actually told anybody yet, but if you guys do look at my channel, I do have some new merch. I got to rearrange the store because right now it doesn't look cool, but there's some really, really cool designs that if you guys actually open up the storefront in Teespring, you guys can actually see. So one thing, members, I'll be letting you guys know of some special discounts from everything like that. And if you're interested in supporting my channel that way, then go ahead and check it out and see if that is a good fit for you. But we are going to get started with school this week. And so I'm really excited to start teaching for my online course for the first time, as well as get back into the classroom. I mean, it's been since last March that we have been doing this. I have been away from the classroom. So definitely very excited about that. But I wanted to talk with you guys about first, before I get into your open Q&A, because the Q&A is actually a little light tonight, everyone. And I was kind of a little surprised on that. I actually had quite a few questions, but again, the questions are not really great for me to be able to discuss on the open Q&A. So please make sure, guys, when you are presenting questions, avoid word problems. I don't have time to address the word problems or go over something like that. Make sure you're very detailed. I like topics that I can really understand and explicit, like here's how I can help you with that. And yeah, and just make sure you're descriptive, and so therefore we can address it. So I had to eliminate many questions for tonight just because I didn't know what I was supposed to address for their question. So again, if you do have questions, you can go ahead and put them down there's a link, a Google form in the description. And every Sunday night, about an hour before I go live, I open that up and I look at my questions and decide what I'm going to use for the live stream, as well as what else was I going to say? Oh, also, and there's the Discord group as well that you guys can go and post your questions and help each other out in the Discord group. That is definitely something I'm excited. Again, we did it last year, at the end of last year, and it got a little momentum, but I'm definitely looking forward to now people being back into school, needing help with this online learning and helping each other out. So I've been doing some organizing for the classes. So it's a little bit more organized where you guys can put your questions. I've had to get some moderators to avoid the people that are not behaving properly. So if you were previously been in there, maybe it's been a while since you've been back, I definitely recommend that you go back and check out the Discord and communicate with other people inside of there. So, all right. Now, 5 minutes in, let's go and get into these 3 mindset shifts. And I sent out an email for you guys on this one, and actually I made a video on this, and I'm just going to hit it hard 3 times in a row, talk to you guys about these mindset shifts. So I do apologize. You guys will see a video. I gotta put it in for edit coming up. So it might be a week or 2 that you guys will see this video, and you'll probably forget if you don't even around anyways. But there are some things that I was thinking about, I was getting back into school that I wanted to address with you guys before we actually get into the math. And, this isn't just kind of tips. This is mindset shifts. And I think the first shift that we need to make sure that we're understanding is the ownership of learning. And it might not be a mindset shift for some of you. Some of you might have already taken on the ownership that you understand that you are responsible for your learning, you are responsible for your grade, and you are responsible for what you are going to learn this year. And I think it's ever more important, though, this year that students really take to heart that ownership principle. And again, guys, I know that the whole situation is not your fault. I know this whole situation, a lot of you have a lot more difficulty than other students or in other situations. And that's not what I'm really talking about, that, it's to blame you if you can't learn on your own. All I'm basically trying to say is don't use the idea, because a lot of times it was always about, well, my teacher is not a good teacher, or, blah, 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 blah. That is why I can't learn. The thing is nowadays, guys, you have access to all the possible information that you could ever possibly want. And so just make sure you understand that. It doesn't matter if you're in school distance, if you're in school with your friends. It doesn't matter if you have a great teacher, a horrible teacher, or anything else. You can learn the material. You can get the help and the resources that you need. So I think this is important because, especially when I was a student, I relied a lot on my teachers. I relied a lot on my friends that were in my classes and everything like that. And the only reason why I bring up these ownership, because unfortunately we don't have that access, right? A lot of times, especially if you're not going to class maybe full time, or maybe you don't have the connection that maybe you had previously, maybe not your same friends or whatever else, or going to the same classes and schools. But just remember that it's you. You get to decide how much you're going to learn this year and everything else. So just make sure you're holding on to that ownership. I know there's a lot of struggles and there's going to be a lot of changes, and it's not going to be easy. But I just want everybody to make the most out of this and also have the most amount of fun. And that's what brings me on to my next mind shift. Is the best thing is, guys, this stinks. I mean, really, I'm looking forward to getting back to school. I'm excited. I just want to be back inside the classroom and engaging with students. But on the other hand, it's just not fun. It's not the same. It's not normal. And I think there's another thing of, just accepting that, yeah, it's not fun in that regard, but you know what? I'm going to make the most out of this as I humanly can, because what else could we do? We could, of course we can just go into school, say, this stinks. I don't like this. This is not fun. This is not what I'm used to. Everybody else had it a different way, poor me, poor my school, and blah, blah, blah. But in the same thing, it's like, let's just make the best out of it. I mean, there's nothing else that we have to lose for this, is to, whatever we need to do, as far as if it's communication, like on Zoom meetings in our classes, or going into school and, somehow communicating with masks or shields or whatever else, like, have fun. Engage with other people that maybe you might not have if it wasn't under these circumstances. Make the best out of the situation, because I think looking back, that's something that you're really going to be proud of, is that you took advantage of this situation, because there's really nothing fun about saying this stinks and just being in a poor mood the whole time. And guys, to take ownership of your grade and to have the most amount of fun, the only thing that we need to understand is we need just to change our approach. And we just need to, again, kind of go, I already alluded to it a little bit, but my point that I was trying to bring into, we need to understand that this year is completely different than every other year. So we cannot approach the way that we're going to learn. We cannot approach the way that we're going to get things turned in or understand things or communicate with our teacher, communicate with our friends, is going to be the same like it was. We have to understand that this year is completely different, and maybe next year as well. So you know what? Get used to making a change, and like it or not, that is where we are at. So, approach this year as like, hey, I have to do things differently. I want to still learn. It's my job to still learn. I want to have fun, right? That's the only way that I'm going to get through this year, is by having fun. And to get to learn and to have fun, I need to change my approach. It's not just wake up, show up in the class, and everything's going to take care of itself. No, there's going to be a little bit more effort that we're going to have to put into this year, and there's going to be some unknowns. And we got to try things, and the best thing I can say about this is, guys, this is new for your teachers. This is new for your parents. This is new for your administrators, and it's new for all of your friends. So you know what? Just accept it. I mean, not say accept it, but understand that, hey, this is where everybody's at. We're all in this together, and you know what? Let's go ahead and make the best of this and approach this and keep on trying things, not get upset when things don't work, because again, we're all just trying to make the best out of this situation that we can. And I know we could always nitpick different situations and different, policies and everything like that. But I think if we can just get through this year, and hopefully by the end, we'll be in a much different situation than we are talking to you guys right now. But we'll see. We'll see how well this video ages, because I don't like taking down video. So we'll see. Well, maybe we'll come back to this one later and see what happens. All right. So I see you, David, and George, Melinda. Good to see you. Isabella. Awesome. True, just to make the most out of it and have fun. That is absolutely correct. Nishat, good to see you. And David, thank you so much, guys, for being in. Awesome to have you guys on. And Addie, of course. Arshan, thank you so much, guys, for joining in tonight. Let's go ahead and get into some of these problems that I only have 3. And I did see some of you guys asking a question. I think some study geometry. I don't have any specific tips on studying geometry other than the same thing. I mean, I think with geometry, depending on if you're talking about a geometry course, obviously making sure that you know those like the theorems and all the foundational stuff, because a lot of the geometry guys is going to a lot with the geometry accounts, it's going to build off a lot. You're going to be using a lot of those. So we'll talk about that stuff in a while. Or, well, no, we're not going to talk about it, but there's my piece of advice. This is going to be weird. It is going to be a weird year. I don't know. I want to, I don't know. I want to teach, but it's like, I don't know. I'm doing a lot of my videos that obviously I'm making for my online course. I am using inside of my classroom for like flipped learning, and I've never really done flipped learning, and I'm not really interested in doing flipped learning, but, I think that's just going to be the best thing. That's going to avoid me doing a lot of in-class instruction. And therefore we can just practice more inside of the classroom, where students can take advantage of having me inside of them. And since they'll be, doing from there, then we can kind of elaborate. But I don't know. I'm not used to doing, I don't like, even though I make videos all the time, it's not something that I require my students. It's always been a supplement for my students to use my videos. But these new videos I'm creating are designed for people to learn completely online. So we'll see. We'll get them work down with the students, and then I'll work on these 3 questions, guys, and then I'll come back to the chat. So if you do have a question, kind of wait till I'm done, and then once I'm done, you guys can go ahead and put those questions in, and we'll see how long that takes. I did have a little bit of delay, so we'll see how much longer we can go. All right. This question was submitted regarding writing the equation of a asymptote, and I actually wasn't able to get to exactly the way the full answer. I was a little confused on how their question, if we were able to add any other information, because, and I'm not sure maybe if I was missing something that I was reading, but the student had a lot. I just figured I would kind of cover what they did, so therefore they knew they were in the right, and then just kind of let them know what my last point of thought that I was thinking of, and kind of see where maybe we're missing something. Maybe it'll be a little bit obvious as we're talking it through. But the student was given the vertical asymptotes of -2, 1, and 4. They were given wholes as x minus 1 and x plus 5. And they were given the zeros at 0, that has a multiplicity of 3, and x equals -3. And then last but not least, they were given the horizontal asymptote of 1.5. Okay, so the main thing is if I had a function, they needed to write the equation of the function. So remember, guys, when you write the zeros, you can always write these as your factors, right? So that's what we're going to do. Remember, when we have a vertical asymptote, that those are going to be the values that are non-removable. So we're going to have a factor of x plus 2, right? Because remember, -2 is what makes that 0, which would make the whole denominator 0. We have x minus 1, and then we have x minus 4. Okay, so there's your 3 vertical asymptotes. So we got those done. Now, if it's a whole, that means, again, it's still going to be a discontinuity in the denominator, but it's going to be also a discontinuity in the numerator, because those are what we call removable discontinuities. They can be divided out. And actually, let's just do x plus 1. And then the other one was x minus 5. Okay, so those can also be divided out. Those are your non-removable or your removable discontinuities. Then ahead of the zeros is x equals 0 with a multiplicity of 3. Now, when we're finding the zeros of a rational function, basically you just set your f of x equal to 0. You would multiply your whole denominator on both sides. So technically, you're just setting the numerator equal to 0. Now, in this case, we already have 2 other zeros here at -1 and 5. So that's why I kind of assume that there's more than the zeros of just 0 and -3, right? Or there's more information we could add to this problem. But since we have these other zeros, you can write them, and this student used this, which I was actually okay with, right? X minus 0. I mean, you could just write x to the cubed, right? But I do like how they did x minus 0. So therefore, you can see that the 0, right, the x-intercept is at 0, but it has a multiplicity of 3. And then also you have x plus 3. Okay, so we have the wholes. We have there. Now, the last thing that I wanted to cover here with these was the horizontal asymptote. Now, 1.5 is really going to be the same thing as 3/2, okay? But remember that horizontal asymptotes only occur when your numerator is going to be exactly the same as, the degree in the numerator is exactly the same as the degree in the denominator. So that is going to be the case. So let's see here. This is going to be x cubed, 4th, 5th, 6th. So this is x to the 6th, right? That's at least the power. And then over here, we have x to the 4th. I don't think that's what I originally had, was it? I don't remember. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that works from there. So we have, vertical asymptotes. Yeah, 1, 2, wholes, 1, 2. Yeah, 3. Yeah, 6. Okay. And then the bottom is 1, 2, oh, did I forget one? I did. X minus 1, and x minus 4, x plus 1, and x minus 5. There we go. I knew I was off. So that'd be x minus 5. I put it up here, but I didn't put it down here. 1, 1, x minus 5, and then 3 asymptotes. Good. So then that is going to be an x to the 5th. And this is where I got confused, because I can easily write my asymptotes 3, 2, right? Just put it like that. And then you can say, since they would have the same degrees in the numerator and denominator, then it's going to be 3 over 2, because it's leading coefficient over leading coefficient. The problem is the degree in my numerator is larger than the degree in my denominator. So therefore, there is not a horizontal asymptote at 3/2. So there's a couple ways I could do this. I was wondering about this. I wonder if you could even put in a, different, well, actually that would not divide out. So that'd be a whole. But I'm wondering if you could like include the multiplicity of any of one of these powers, or if you could add in an extra zero. It just didn't really make sense to what exactly in that problem. But again, yeah, you would just either add an extra whole or a vertical asymptote or a multiplicity of one of those, and that would maybe satisfy that equation. But that is at least where I got. Instead of using 1.5, I think like you did, you'd want to use those 3/2 for sure. All right, the next one comes from George, and George was asking simplified the radicals. And once you simplify the radicals, he was having trouble because there was constraints saying x has to be greater than or equal to 0 and y was greater than or equal to 0. And he was wondering, why do we have these constraints? So I'm just going to go ahead and work through the problem and just to kind of go through that in case anybody else also needed help with multiplying radicals. And then I'll explain these restrictions. So first of all, if we were going to go ahead and do these problems, remember when we are taking the square root, we can break this up into, we can take the square root of x squared, it's just equal to x, right? So if I did the square root of x to the 4th, that is the same thing as x squared times x squared. Well, the square root of x squared is x. So the square root of x squared times x squared is x times x, which is x squared. So hopefully you kind of start to see a little bit of these patterns. And again, we could also look into this as the power rule if you wanted to as well. But basically, another way you could rewrite this is, can I rewrite this as something squared? And this is going to be using the power rule. So you could always use what we call the linear factorization, write them down as a factors. Like you could also write this as x times x. So find as many pairs, and then that's just going to equal to your x. Now, in this case, though, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this power raised to the second power. So I can rewrite this as x to the 4th, and this is called using the power rule. X to the 4th squared. So therefore, you can see I can take the square root of x to the 4th squared, and that's just going to be x to the 4th. So I can take out the x to the 4th, and then I have y squared, right? Well, the square root of y squared, just like we kind of already talked about, is y. So then still under the radical though, I am going to be left with a 5 times. There's no pair of numbers that I can break up that I can factor out from 10. So I'm going to have that. But however, I could rewrite this as, rather than using the power rule, let's write it like this. I could rewrite x cubed as x squared times x. Again, what's the square root of x squared? It's just going to be x, right? And then times, now this, you could, again, use the linear factorization, but what I like to do when I'm dealing with numbers is think of square numbers. What is a number that I can take the square root of? Or let's put it this way. What is the largest number I can take the square root of that evenly divides into 12? Well, that number is 4. So it's 4 times 3 times y. All right, so let's rewrite this again. So we have x to the 4th y times the square root of 5 times, let's see, this is going to be x times the square root of 10x times, let's see, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 3y. All right, and now when you're multiplying radicals, anything that is outside of the radical, you can now multiply, and everything that is inside, you can go ahead and multiply as well. So in this case, we have x to the 5th, x to the 4th, so that's x to the 5th, so that's a 2, x to the 5th y, right, because you add powers. And then under here, we're going to have 15, so that'd be 150 xy. So the student gave me a multiple choice problem, so I'm hoping that that's one of the answers. But the issue here is really kind of getting to the question, so hopefully maybe some of you needed help with the multiplying, but the student was asking, why is x have to be greater than 0 or less than 0? And the reason being is sometimes the problem will actually be written with an absolute value. So another way that textbooks will sometimes do this, well, let's just use the absolute value of the x and the y. And the reason that we use the absolute value or we give these conditions is because when you have something under the radical, you don't know if the x is positive or the x is negative, right? I mean, like for instance, let's pretend this was -1. Negative 1 to the 8th power is positive 1. Negative 1 to the 2nd power is squared, right? But once you take them out of the square root, right, and you have this to the fifth power, well, if that was a negative x or a negative number, then that's going to make this whole expression negative. So to make sure that this expression is going to be the same as the original expression, just in a simplified version, then we want to make sure that we're only dealing with positive numbers. Or if it's negative, then you deal with negative. But you want to make sure it's positive is going to be the same. So therefore, we just say like, even this is an odd power. So therefore, if it was negative, if you had a negative value, this expression would be negative. If it was a positive value, it'd be positive. So therefore, we just want to say we're only dealing with positive values. And again, we don't use the absolute value, or we don't have to worry about the restrictions. If let's just say it was 2x, to the fourth y. Well, it doesn't matter if we're dealing with negative or positive numbers, not for the y. Let's just do that squared. Because if it's positive or negative, they're going to be raised to the fourth or the second power anyways. So they're always still going to be positive. So that's why you have to add the restrictions. And again, some textbooks and everything else will use the absolute value instead of the, using those restrictions. But that is only going to happen when you have this even root and you have an odd power on the outside of the square root. All right, last example, ladies and gentlemen, is I didn't really, this one, Sanjay, I'm trying to do my best here. I didn't really understand what the student was asking. They just gave me some numbers and talked about writing the angle for the radians. So I'm assuming that the student was given this is the angle in radians, which I don't know. It's not really a typical way to write a radian because this can be simplified to -1/2. Now, if you want to convert from -1/2, and that's a radian, right? The only time we'd say it's a degree is obviously if it has a degree symbol. So we can assume this is a radian. And if we want to convert this to degrees, we need to understand the conversion ratio. So the ratio to go from a radian to a degree is simply to multiply by 180 degrees over pi. If you wanted to go to a degree to a radian, then you're just going to multiply by 180 or pi, over 180. So this is not going to give us some great answer because obviously it's not in terms of pi, but we can still do the math. So I'm assuming that's what the student was looking for. And sometimes these do get confusing when you're dealing with radians and not in terms of pi because there's really not much we can do here. And it is going to be a decimal answer. So if I want to take this as a radian and I want to write it as a degree, all I need to do is take -1/2 and multiply it by 180 degrees over pi. Now I can kind of simplify this here a little bit, and this is going to give me a -90 degrees over pi. And obviously that's going to be some decimal in that case. They also gave me this one, which is a mixed number, which again, is not something very common that we use. So I'm not sure if this was, we don't really use mixed numbers a lot for radian measures, at least in my class we don't. So I just wanted to, you're going to do the same operation, but remember to convert. I would just convert this to an improper fraction. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 is 15. So that would be 15 halves. And then you'd multiply that by 180 degrees over pi. So it would be whatever 15 times 90 degrees is all over pi. So hopefully that helps. I'm not really sure. Again, guys, when you do have questions and you're submitting them on the Google form or in Discord, just try to be as descriptive as possible because just remember, you guys can upload pictures. You can upload the problems. But yeah, if I don't have a clear understanding, unfortunately, I just have to move on to another question. But let's see, 9:37. So I'm here for a little bit longer. If you guys do have some questions, I'll kind of see what I can answer for you. And then we'll go from there. So when do you need to worry about the restrictions? It's been a while. You only need to worry about the restrictions, if I remember correctly, is when you have a even index, like a square root, a fourth root, a eighth root. So it's definitely only for even index when you have a odd power on the outside. If you had an even power on the outside, you don't need to worry about the restriction. You don't need to worry about the restrictions when you're dealing with a odd root because, the cube root of, x to the eighth, if it's positive, it's positive. If it's negative, it's negative. So you don't have to worry about that. So it's only when you have an even root and an odd degree on the outside. When Dingo, no, you may not borrow some paper. Get your own paper. Explicit equations for sequences. It is, Why does everybody have so many questions on sequences and series? um, yes, it's been a while since I've covered these sequences series. I would just need a little bit more time as far as covering those. I do not recall the formulas for arithmetic and geometric sequences, or just being able to, go through those tips as far as identifying any explicit equations for a sequence. But if you go ahead and send me over a question, then I can definitely go and spend a little bit more time, if I have it, to go and take a look at. Can I do some composite function problems? Sure. Do you have one in general? Because I spend a whole day teaching composite, so I'm not sure what you would actually need help on with a composite. So maybe if you want to be more descriptive, I'll be happy to help there. Jason says, I'm currently going into calculus. What should I focus on so I can succeed from the start? Definitely going to want to, I would say, if you want to succeed, I'd definitely say ask your individual teacher what it is you can succeed in their class. Typically, teachers will give away some good information of telling you what exactly they want you to do. I would also recommend making sure that you have some people that you can study with and do your homework with and everything else, because, calculus, sometimes it gets very easy and you feel comfortable and confident. And then literally within a week, you can be completely submerged and be like, what just happened? I do not understand things, or I'm having trouble and everything else. So I definitely think that having a good support system is going to be very helpful for you. And then really, I don't know what calculus, if you're taking AP or college, but I have found in calculus doing more examples. If you think you understand something, and you're like, okay, I'm good. I just did, a couple examples, did a couple problems in my homework, do more. Because what calculus will, what you'll see in calculus is that repetition is definitely going to help you out a lot. So I definitely would do more examples. Do you say I took Algebra 2 over the summer and I'll be taking a test in order to test out of Algebra 2 in a few days? Your videos were very helpful for me, and I would just like to say thank you. Well, you are very, very welcome, DJ. I'm very happy to be able to help you with your math. Let's run this back. I just got here, man. Well, Jakar, I am here. If you have any questions, I'm doing a little open Q&A right now. Because you cannot have a pencil. So yeah, I'm doing a little bit of open Q&A at the moment. Messiah, if you have any questions on exponents, give them to me. Let's see what we can do. Square root of x. All right, so now I get a question. I have Algebra 2 finals soon. What topic should I focus on? I have no idea. As far as what you should focus on for Algebra 2, I'm teaching Algebra 2 this year. I would definitely, hopefully you have some kind of review, or I would just go back through your content from there. But I'm not sure. F equals, so that's g of x, f equals square root of x. Okay. All right, I can do that. LeBron James, hey, good to have you on. Awesome. Hi, I'm going into geometry. Well, LeBron, good for you. Do I need to study all the postulates and theorems to succeed? No, nobody wants somebody that just knows postulates and theorems. We want you to be able to apply and understand the mathematics. What I was trying to get at the beginning of the stream, though, is a lot of times students will struggle in geometry because they forget the postulates and the theorems. And that is definitely a big part of geometry, is remembering them and applying them. But yeah, you got to be able to apply the stuff. That's not going to help you anywhere if you just memorize postulates and theorems or know them for on in there. Johnny, I got to make another video on the logarithms, kind of stuff like that. I definitely agree. Logarithms and natural logarithms, they get confusing. And when in my course I brought up, I actually do a whole financial lesson as far as understanding E and bringing it to her. And to be honest with you, it wasn't until I started teaching that financial lesson of E that it really even made more sense to me on logs. And so, logs can definitely be confusing. I think as long as you just understand the general principle of logarithmic to exponential form, you understand the exponential form, just always kind of revert that with logarithms. That's kind of a cheap little trick that I used for many, many years to better understand everything. Sir, please speak my name. Math G. Good to have you. Nikhil Kumar. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm signing up tomorrow. Well, awesome. Good for, yeah, there'll be a financial lesson. You'll see. I don't do a lot of logs inside of the course, but I do have some log financial resources that I can submit. And then we'll also have the financial lesson, which kind of explains E, and it just makes everything a lot more sense with the E in terms of, at least for me. Well, awesome, LeBron. I am very happy they helped out. Do you have calculus videos for AP Calc? Jason, yes, I do. I taught AP Calculus for 2 years. I'm not teaching it this year, but for those 2 years, I created a lot of videos. If you go to my YouTube playlist, or if you go to my channel under playlists, I have everything broken down into limit, integration, differentiation. I don't have every single video, but I do a lot of example problems in AP Calculus. So it's not a like watch this video, then watch that video like my pre-calculus course. But if you're definitely looking for some examples or some explanations, I have quite a bit to help you out. Luke, do you have vids on trig? Luke, is that a joke? No, I'm just joking. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys are joining in, but yes, Luke, I have a ton of videos on trig. Same kind of thing. If you go to my YouTube channel, look under the playlist and just look under pre-calculus, you'll see trigonometry, analytic trigonometry, just a ton of example problems that you could need. So definitely help you out with that. All right. George gives me, can I graph that? Sure. Let's go ahead and wrap that up. I'll graph these two. Ressa, what are you asking? How much are thanks? 2 times 7 times 4 times 3 times 9 times 3? Nobody wants to do that. All right, g of x is absolute of x minus 4. All right, we can do that. Yes, you can type into the search. Thank you, Addie. That's a useful help. I definitely have a lot of problems. You know, over 11,000 videos. You're not going to find a lot of my videos very easily. So using the search bar or using my playlist is going to be the best to be able to see everything. All right, so let's go and wrap up these 2 questions. And I'll just kind of finish it up from here. And we'll finish it up from, let's finish up from here and then we'll get going. So g of f of x equals x squared plus 1. So just remember, guys, this is really just saying g of f of x, meaning we're going to plug the f of x function into the g of x function. So we know that I'm sorry. I wrote that wrong. So g is equal to, oh crap, what was that? X squared plus 1. All right, so here's your problem. This is the same notation. I know my g looks like a 6, looks really bad. But again, all we're doing here is we're taking our f of x function and we're going to plug it into our g of x function. So this is just looking like basically square root of x, quantity squared, plus 1. Well, the nice thing here is the square root of x squared is just going to be x plus 1. And there you go. That's it. So just remember, composition is basically just plugging one function into the next. For g of x, for this next one is just graphing this. And, there's a couple ways we could do this. You could do a table of values going through the axis of symmetry and everything like that. But I typically want students, especially at least from a pre-calculus standpoint, even from Algebra 2, is to understand, one, what the parent graph looks like. Like you should know, or we want you to know, what the parent graph looks like. And that parent graph looks something like that, right? Up 1 over 1, to the left and to the right. It's the V-shaped graph from there. And then, so if I have x minus 4, and again, like look at a table of values or go on Desmos and see. And what you'll see is the exact same graph, just horizontally shifted 4 units to the left. So that is going to be your graph right there. So it's the exact same graph, just shifted 4 units to the right. Well, good. Well, hopefully that helps. Jalen, any GED tips? Just like the same thing. I think with the GED, I think with the ACT, the SAT, any of those math tests or like placement tests that you guys are going to be taking, they're all tests that you can game them in one way or another. And I think one of the ways to game them is obviously you can get, the strategic, right? Like learning, going to the test prep or books and everything like that. The other thing is just practicing. practice, like do multiple problems. Because the thing is, when you get in that testing environment, you're going to have a lot of stress, right? You're going to have a lot of things going through your head. You're going to have to perform, right? And you have like the timing and everything. Like, so the more comfortable you are with doing problems, the more problem you have practice and more easier it is for you to complete those problems. I just think it's the easier and better you're going to do on the test. So I would definitely just recommend doing as much practice as you can possibly fit in for that GED or the ACT, SAT, placement test, whatever materials that you have access to or that you can do those problems. Just practice. Not cram, not do practice the night before, but ahead of time. Just try to do as many examples as you can. And maybe there's a lot of problems you don't know how to do. Cool. Star those problems, circle them, whatever, and then get help from somebody. Like, there's a lot of great channels on YouTube. You can also get a tutor, or get help from somebody that's maybe really good at math. Get those questions answered and then practice those over and over and over again. Well, hi, Serena from India. Thank you for joining the chat. And how do you find your asymptote? Well, you find the asymptote on the values that make your denominator equal to 0. So for instance, in this rational expression, the asymptotes are at x equals -2, 1, and 4, because those values make the denominator equal to 0. If the value gets divided out, like x plus 1 and x minus 5, at x equals -1 and 5, which is these factors, then they are wholes, not asymptotes. Do you have any unlisted math videos? Ooh, Dennis, I have a lot of unlisted math videos. So some of those are videos that are going to be published soon. Some of those are older videos from the classroom that I just never published. Some of them are just personal videos that I put on YouTube for whatever reason. And then there's some ones that, I don't know, I used to just upload everything to YouTube. And then, some of the times I've taken them down and some of them I have up there. So you can definitely find some weird videos that are on my channel that, are just public for whatever reason. Stuff like this. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff on there, but, Jamal, why do you guys keep on making me do some more questions? All right. Finding out, determining the angle of two sides that I'm given, 1, 2, or no triangles. Ivans, you're gonna have to give me a little more time to do that. If you, again, guys, you guys always add in questions at the end of my stream. But so please, guys, if you have those questions, I'm not gonna be able to do it 1, 2, or no triangles, or any other additional heavy questions from you guys. Just because it's at the end of the stream. But please, guys, I only had 3 questions here that were prepared for me. So please go to the link in the description for the Google form and put in your questions. Be as detailed as possible. Upload a picture if you can, and I will be more than happy to add those to my next stream. If you are looking for a question that you want a little bit more faster feedback or an answer to, then go ahead and go to the link on Discord. And therefore you can join the community there and we'll help each other out, answer your questions. You can answer other people's questions. Everything from Algebra 1 to calculus is going on in there. I do have other math topics in there, but we're just kind of waiting on more people to come in and post questions in there. So we'll see how that is going. But right now, everything from Algebra 1 to calculus is people are interacting with. And then also, if you are taking pre-calculus, just a last minute reminder that this is the last week for enrollment of the course. I am officially closing the doors for enrollment on next Sunday at 10 p.m. So, kind of this time next Sunday, a week from today. So if that is something you've been interested in, you want to kind of see how it would be to learn math from me in pre-calculus this year, because all my videos that I put on YouTube are just, snippets of me teaching inside of the classroom. But this is the first year I'm actually accepting students to watch the exact same videos that I give my students. I'm giving them the exact same quizzes, then access to quizzes, reviews, and tests that my current students have. And so if that's something interested you, you can just go to the PC Foundations. Again, the link is in the description. But otherwise, guys, I hope you have a great night. I apologize for some of you guys getting to your questions late, but please go ahead and submit them for next week, and or go to Discord, and I'll be happy to address your questions then. Otherwise, guys, have a great night. If you are getting back to school, I wish you luck, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week. Cheers.